Right. Friends, welcome back to the HIGMID talk. And you all know the full form of HIGMID. HIGMID stands for How I Got My Idea. And today we have an outstanding founder, right, who is part of the HIGMID talk. First of all, I really want to thank Vishesh Khurana, who is co-founder of Shiprocket. And Shiprocket is one of the rising stars in the startup arena. And, you know, there are people in startup world who are already saying that next unicorn is here, next unicorn is here, right? And unicorn is a business which is valued at $1 billion plus. So Vishesh, he has come very easy this time, but next time when we want to call him, it's not going to be easy. So Vishesh, great to have you here. And just to follow the discipline of our conversation, boys and girls, if you have any question, put in the chat box. And my friend and colleague Dhwani is there to moderate the show, and she will pick and then she'll unmute you, and then we'll interact. Now, the way I want to unfold Vishesh is, first of all, the very easy bit. How has been what has been your career journey until now? What all you have done?
So first of all, thank you. So thank you for inviting. I think it's a great platform for a simple. I sure wish when I was a student I had this opportunity.
Vishesh, there's some sort of lag from your side, but I'm just trying to see. Yeah.
I think there is a bit of network issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it better now?
Yes.
So yeah, like I was saying, thank you so much for inviting. I think it's a great platform, and for a simple reason, I was saying that I wish I had a similar opportunity or someone speaking to me when I was a student. So I had some things to learn from how future would look like. As a failure, I think I started off fairly as an entrepreneur, like a very popular in 2010, 11. It was a college dropout. It was a fashion, right? Amongst entrepreneurs, it was one of those fancy things that dropouts make millionaires.
Right.
So, yeah, I followed this route. I started off.
You dropped off. Don't tell me.
Yes, I did.
Oh, interesting.
But I personally never recommend that, because that in future of my entire 10-year journey, I had so many challenges because of that. Because having a formal degree has its own advantages, and it makes so much. It just makes everything a lot more easier. So yeah, that happened. But yeah, it's an age when you are aggressive and you take decisions while not fully planning for the next 10, 20 years.
So what made you drop off the college? Drop out of the college?
I started my first company outside while I was in college, in my second year. And wow. The company kind of took off. I had some big clients that I was able to close. The company, we were into mobile application development. And 10 years ago, mobile apps wasn't a fancy thing. We did not have Android. It was BlackBerry and Nokia's in those times. A lot of students might not even know about them. But yeah, those were the times, yeah.
Yeah.
So that time I had some big clients, and it was just a crazy decision because the company had started making profits already, and I wanted to dedicate my full time to the company. And yeah, that time with no formal planning, I think I decided to give my full time to the company for the time. And yeah, that's why I dropped out. And the company did do well for the next 2-3 years. And then I had the option to sell out. I had an offer from a large corporate to buy that company for a large sum. And again, like I said, when you are 20, 21, someone gives you a large check, it's a lot of money. Then you again don't plan what this company could have become, how much bigger or how much better I could have made it. But that
Yeah.
again, I took the call. I sold the company for a decent sum of money. But as bad decision goes, a lot of money with no experience, it's always a bad thing. It's a very bad combination, right? So I took that money, put it into my second startup, and in matter of months, I burnt all the money because
Wow.
there's no
Wow.
experience behind it.
This
You
is
take
crazy
it.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
With a lot of money and no
And what was your
consequence.
second startup? What was
So
it? Where
second
you?
startup was e-commerce. So in 2011-12, Flipkart was doing well, and we kind of jumped the train and said, let's kind of do e-commerce now.
Right.
And I started a similar e-commerce startup for fashion e-commerce website to sell high-end fashion garments online because
Right.
it wasn't available. They were only available offline in like boutique stores. That venture, but again, it was too early for e-commerce, and my experience wasn't enough to do it and execute it formally. So burnt all the money there and moved on to become a consultant because once you're out of money, you need some immediate cash flow. But I stuck to e-commerce because even while you burn money, even you make losses, they all come with learnings because they teach you a lot. My
Right.
experience while making mistakes in e-commerce taught me what not to do. So I decided to take those learnings and now start telling all the bigger e-commerce brands on what not to do because I have made my losses and I've learned it. So don't do that. So I
Right.
became a consultant and I started consulting a couple of e-commerce brands on how to run an e-commerce business successfully and effectively. That's when I think the business I am in today, Shiprocket and Rocket. I happened to meet my co-founders in the same time. They were uh, they were developing e-commerce websites, and I was a client to them, and that's how I met them. I said I want to get some e-commerce websites made, and that's where we met together, and we found out that India has a large gap when it comes to cheaper e-commerce website building. Everything in those times, if you wanted to build an e-commerce website, it was expensive. It was like you have to go to a web shop, get maybe spend a couple of lakhs, and then we saw it, we have to make it cheap, we have to democratize it. And that's where we built the platform. We said we'll charge you 5 grand a month for your e-commerce website, and we'll manage the end-to-end everything. The entire technology is managed by us. That's where the SaaS as a business, like we call it today, was started. And that was the first platform. And while working with those clients and building maybe thousands of websites, the second problem that we came across was logistics. And that's where we said, let's solve logistics now. That's where we started Shiprocket. The idea of Shiprocket was, again, let's bring all the partners, give them large commitments and get discounts, and then again offer the same discounts to all the smaller customers. So it's all using economies of scale and aggregation where you can play a lot of these things, right? With large checks, you could command a lot of discounts. So that's where we are today at Shipra.
Money. This is very interesting. I was not aware of this part of the story that first Shiprocket started as. So what you call Shiprocket Social, was that the first thing, and then the
Yeah.
Shiprocket Logistics
So,
came?
so the name we gave it was Cart Rocket, like the shopping
The
cart.
original name was the Cart Rocket,
Yes.
yeah,
Cart
which was
Rocket
a,
was still there. Cart Rocket is still there. It's the
yeah,
website building platform, but
yeah,
Shiprocket is our core business today because that scaled much faster than the website building platform.
right. And the difference there was Cart Rocket was a website builder and Shiprocket was the shipping and the logistics provider, right?
Yes.
And it's far more complex business, whatever I understand in terms of logistics, because setting a website is easy, but moving the goods from place A from all your sellers to to all the customers. So let's say if I run a small fashion portal, then I will contact Shiprocket, and Shiprocket will pick up all the stuff from my home and then ship it to the customer's home. Is that the business that you are in?
Yes. In simplest terms, that's the business we are in. So we have an online application that one can use. Put in the
Yeah,
drop and the delivery address. We
yeah,
charge with the shipping money, and
yeah.
rest we take care of.
Right. So one is the digital interface, and then all the physical enablement. So some person will come and pick up the consignment, and then through multiple hands, it will reach to a customer's home.
Yes.
Right. And also there's a uh, uh, ownership of the consignment, which is in Shiprocket's hand, because you have to ship the whole stuff, which makes it a far more risky business. So how did you all make it happen? It's not as simple as it appears,
We
like the way I described.
Yeah, no. So what we did was we relied on the existing network. So India had courier companies, though who were doing this task effectively. Right? They were moving millions of packets every day. So we of
Right.
course relied on their service. All we did was connect the customer to a right courier company. So end of the day, the assets or the physical assets on the ground are still owned by the traditional courier partners. Our job is to make sure the technology is there for a small guy to be easily able to book a shipment. Because if you want to book a shipment on Blue Dart, it's a very complex website system. We just made it easier, bought mobile, bought simpler systems in place. So that way, the last mile was still insured because courier companies will provide you insurance of each and every packet you move through their network. We
Right.
only relied on their insurances, their processes, and let them do the job. The hard part was done by the partner.
Right. But you provided all the technical technology interfaces to all the
Yes.
partners, to all the
Yes.
partners. Right. So how big is the company now, Shiprocket?
Shiprocket is about, we employ about 1,000.
1,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's at a scale, like you said, we are close to becoming a unicorn. So that's the scale we are.
Right. And one of the things which I noticed, and a lot of people, they are very young and they might not understand this, but when we look at, and you know this, when we look at the current startup world and all funded startup, most of them, they are in heavily into losses because they are in the investment phase. What I saw last night was a year back your numbers, and it was still showing green, which was in profit. Am I right in that sense?
Yes.
Right.
So I think that comes from coming from our values in terms of when we come from business families and we saw our parents running their businesses and traditionally we just couldn't understand the negative or red line businesses. So from
Right.
day zero, our goal has been to become profitable, and we have been profitable for most of our journey.
Right. So, which is very interesting, and to all the young students who are here, the mantra of Shiprocket's success, with Vishesh and his other co-founders are driving, is scale up profitably. So, scaling up is important, but profitability is also important, which is a lot of people don't agree with this, but Vishesh, I and you are in the same boat that the big losses which are there, sustainability is always a huge question mark. So how could you achieve this?
I think it takes time, of course. Then you are not one of those fancy companies who become unicorn in 2-3 years. You are not those fancy companies behind whom investors are running. But the easy way to do this is do it slowly.
Do
And
it slowly.
just don't run after scale immediately. Scale will come. I think the right part is to make sure that you make money of each and every order you do, because that will give you the comfort of spending on customer service. That will give you the comfort on spending on service, because that is where a lot of people cut costs. Because to save losses, the only way you can save money is by saving on variable costs. And that
Right.
is where, once you start doing it the right way, you have the right margins to do so, and that's what helped us scale. Because our service was decent.
Fantastic.
He could spend a lot of money back on the customer by making money from them.
Right. And I like what you're saying, and I think to all the listeners who are there, just to explain the soft point which Vishesh is making. The dilemma for startup founders are either I scale up fast, should I become a unicorn in 4 years, or I become unicorn in maybe 6 years. Am I right? So that's the dilemma, and the difference is that if you take the 6 year path, chances are that you might want to be profitable in each of your transactions. right? And it makes a huge difference, perhaps in the longer run. What is a lot of founders might not agree with you, Vishesh, and a lot of
That's that's fine.
invest. That's fine. That's fine. But that's the value that your team said that's core to your venture building.
So I think a lot of it, pandemic taught us a lot. A lot of startups did have to shut shop because of negative working capital and could not raise money in those times. So you might do it slowly, but at least you can be sure that you'll survive. You'll
Right.
exist. And that's the harder part today. Because while scaling fast is a very good way to run a business, but be sure that be prepared also. That once things go south, it ends up being zero. We want to take the middle ground. It should not be 0 or 100, it should be 50, but forever.
True. So before I move further, I am asking all our friends who are here to put their question in the chat box, because I will ask one more question, then Dhwani, I hand over to you, and then if you have questions, and then on. So Vishesh, one last question from my side, and I'm finding this to be a short but very deeply engaging conversation, right? Could you walk us through some of the most difficult challenges that you had to navigate while building Shiprocket?
I think number one, I would mention again, I mentioned it in the starting of the conversation, is not having formal degrees did limit my options when it comes to raising money, because a lot of venture capital and investors, having a formal degree checks one box, because
Right.
getting in the door became very, very limited, because that's the criteria for many of the venture capitals out there. So yeah, that was one very, very big part of it that I did not realize in the early side of it. The other, of course, is, once you start dealing with Indian SMEs, like small uh, businesses, for them, you don't realize how important is each and every order. You could deliver 100 orders right, but they will leave you for delivering one order wrong, because they
Wow.
care so much about their customers. And I think that was a learning we got from them, to care about each and every customer. It's not about, don't look at your customers as one of those Excel fields. Look at each one of them individually. I think I learned that from the Indian small business owners. Because for them, every order they send is important. And if you miss up on one, they leave you. So I think that keeping up that quality of service effectively was one bigger challenge, especially in logistics.
This is great lesson, Vishesh, that you are saying, and to all the students out here. Again, this lesson, the sooner we sort of internalize, I think it has great value. Every customer is valuable, and leaving even one customer dissatisfied could be a mantra for, could be a reason where they can ditch you. I think, Vishesh, there is are you there, or yeah?
Yeah.
You're there, right? So that's an important lesson. Just Dhwani, if you allow one more, and then I pass it over to you. One more important question. So your first venture, which was a huge success, right? A good success. Then the second, which went down, right? Then third, and maybe Shiprocket is nearly the fourth venture in terms of studio. Was that right? So you had these multiple experiences. Now, if you had to relive your life, would you live it the same way, or still you would regret that you dropped out of the class?
I think dropping out is definitely one of my regrets. I think I deal with it every day. Even
Okay.
after all the large scale Shiprocket has had, even today, it will continue becoming a challenge. And as I've grown up, I've also realized, because it was also a fear as we were running Shiprocket, because startups are uncertain. Right? You don't know what's tomorrow.
Right.
And it was always something like uncertainty, where you will not find a job in India at least, with not having a formal degree. So all those angles play out. I think that's one area I would definitely not do. At least finish it off.
Right. Thanks. I'm done. Dhwani, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. And I think you covered all the questions, so I have no questions. I am crystal clear with what is Shiprocket and how does it work and everything. So let me open the stage for audience to ask you questions here. What we can do is, since I don't see any questions in the chat box, so how about this that you all just raise your hand. There is a particular reaction. To go to the reactions, there is a raise hand option. So you all can raise your hand and I can one by one unmute you all and you can speak. You can ask the question that you want to ask. Yes? Are we all clear? There is one question here in the chat box that from Monica. Monica, I'm unmuting you. You can ask your question verbally also.
Sir, how do you feel about being the co-founder of Shiprocket?
Definitely, I'm proud of myself that I have been able to make something where a lot of people don't. So yeah, I think it's a proud feeling. I'm glad I'm here.
So, Monica, can I rephrase Monica's question? Maybe Vishesh, and I don't know if she was asking, were you a full-time? Were you a founder, and then maybe in your previous business in the mobile app development business, you were the lone founder, or you had co-founders?
No, I was alone.
That was alone, right? So you were the king. And from there, when you become co-founder, how does it feel? That part.
I think it's definitely very important. I've realized you can't run a business alone. You can't win a war alone. I think everything it takes a team. I'm glad I found my co-founders because, like my first two startups, I've already told. Right, first one I could not scale. Second one I failed. The third one is Shiprocket, and that's where we realized once we got together, we were able to finally make it. We were finally able to scale it, right? So that tells it itself that alone it's not possible. So yes, having co-founders is very important.
I think so. That's a big message, right? So you can't do it all alone. Yeah. Funny.
Also, even I would like to add that we cannot do everything all on our own. We require people around us to help us. So yeah, that is a very big factor which plays here. Anybody else has any question? So there is one more question from Utkarsh. So Utkarsh, I'm going to unmute you and you can ask the question verbally.
Yes. How were the steps or what are the difficulties you faced through to get your first orders in the business?
So for first orders, we definitely reached out to our friends. So the best way to kickstart any business or test out is to reach out to your friends, family, network, close friends, group, known guys, because even if you do something wrong, at least they'll give you feedback. So our first, I think a lot of things came from where we made a lot of friends. We invited people for dinners, we invited people for coffees. We just used our friend network and their friends to get to our first couple of thousand orders because we got a lot of feedback from them.
Amazing, right? So and that's work, right? So they call it Utkarsh. There's a rule which is called 3Fs, right? Friend, family, and I don't know. Everyone knows the third F. Okay, but that's important. Yeah. Any other great question, Utkarsh? Any other question?
Anyone else?
Okay. Vishesh, I want to touch the second business, right, from success going down, right? How was that feeling?
Of course, it was demotivating, but it was a one good lesson learned.
One good lesson.
When I look back at it, the kind of things I spent the money on completely unrelated to the success or not success of the business. For example, I spent the money on getting a fancy office, getting a fancy cabin.
Yeah.
Those are the things that have nothing to do with the business. And that's when you realize that you're not prepared or completely focused on scaling. So I think it was a good lesson there.
Very honest admission, Vishesh. And we also had one failure and similar mistakes, right? And very often I find that people, they put their money on non-core things other than the business, right?
So I think the good part about that is if you have a failure, the only thing I realized was be angry at yourself and not get demotivated and say, कि अब मैं जाके I will go and not करूँगा. That's what my learning was. Don't be that demoralized that you don't even try again. Be angry at yourself and try harder.
So how did you climb back? How were the few steps of climbing back? How did it look like? If you can give us insight.
I was super angry at myself. I wanted to make it back. I wanted to make it back bigger. So I learned from the failures. I completely wrote down the mistakes I did, put it somewhere where I could see them every day, and just went back at it. I started again and just told myself I will not make the same mistakes again. I will not make losses. I will be unit economics positive. I will not buy things that are not needed for business. We will sit out of home basement and work. Just putting those things very, very hardline completely help you succeed back again.
Wow. I think that deserves a huge round of applause, that you were very hard with yourself, right? And this is something like long back I had read when you were speaking, Richard Hadley, who was a New Zealand all-rounder. He had in his cricket bag kit, he had these 10 statements, which were the learnings from all the mistakes he had in life. And he was very hard on himself, and that would he would put himself into a very hard regimen and discipline and do that, right? And something that you are saying resonated so well. And in my failure, I could not do that. Being hard on yourself, right? To remind you that, okay, you have done this, now don't repeat and I think a lot of people actually keep on repeating the same mistakes again and again. And Shiprocket, what kind of responsibility do you have now?
So I can still continue to hold growth responsibility at Shiprocket. That is finding new business opportunities or new business verticals for the company, and of course sales, because that is one thing I'm always been doing as a career. So new sellers or sales is completely that is unresponsible.
Fantastic. Any questions, boys and girls? Or
I have a question here. So, could you just share one tip to all of us that as an entrepreneur, how do you handle your emotions and how do you stay that motivated? Just share some tips on that.
I think handle it. I think be emotional, because once you let your emotions out, that tells your team members how you are feeling, and that kind of affects your team members. Because if you are angry, your team members should know that. If you are happy, your team members should know that. In every emotion, that helps your team to perform and understand you much better. I think just don't handle it. Be yourself. I have never done that.
Be yourself.
That's
express yourself, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. From my side, last question to the young students. They are typically from class 7 to 11th or 12th. What could be one message from you to them? They are all very kicked up. They are dreaming things. They have submitted ideas at the youth ideathon, and this is a I think supercharged group.
I think repeating myself again and again, one suggestion: even if you are in school, college, whatever, do try out small business ideas.
Wow.
Even at a smallest of scale, right? Just by trying out small, those experiences will help you. I did a lot of those in my school days, in my college days. Small trading businesses, anything, whatever you could. A second would be, once you are 18 and eligible to invest, make sure you start investing as small as, but make sure start investing early in life. I've realized while wealth is created by doing businesses, wealth is also created by investing in others' businesses. So make sure that is one area. And the other one is, everyone should at least make sure they aim high in terms of education. I think do try to get on to the top 10 universities, because that will make, it's not a short, but that will make the journey much easier.
Right. Very important three lessons, right? So start early, do your, even if it's a trading business, get into trading business, because the insights and lessons are far more deeper. Start investing early. As soon as you hit 18, start investing and get into the best schools in the world, right? So that is the mantra from Vishesh. It's been a real pleasure. And because we are greedy people, so we will take this opportunity to invite you at the next stage, when we will be evaluating at top 100 stage, mentoring some of these students, because the emotion and the clarity with which you spoke, I think it's going to be a huge learning opportunity as we move ahead in the competition. So
Oh,
far more than 10,000 students, they have submitted ideas. And we have, it's a 3-stage competition from 10,000. We first cut is a 500 and then 100, with whom we will do the hackathon to develop the products and services. And at that stage, we'll really love to have you there. Right, friends. So with this, we do close to a lovely discussion, very insightful, and it connected various stages of entrepreneurship journey. Someone who could have started as young as 18, 19, or 20 when he was young, dropped out of college, then had a success, then a failure, then a success, and each of these stories, they have a lot of learning for us. And thank you, Vishesh Khurana, for being for sharing this with so passion and honesty, that we all carry these stories, and I'm sure this will have lessons for everyone who is listening, and also on YouTube who are listening. So thanks very much. Take care. With this, we close.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.